For today, it's just going to be basic proportions and with a focus on the chest. My opinion, the chest is the most important part of the anatomy. It's where everything starts out. You can measure off every other part of the body based on the chest, so we're just going to focus on that for today. The body can pretty easily be broken down into basic shapes. The main shapes that are used in the body are going to be like circles, squares, and triangles. What we do with these shapes is we take them, we elongate them, like using cylinders, using cubes and rectangles. And these shapes allow us to get an understanding of how things work in 3D. So for this person here, can pretty easily break it down into a circle for the head, a box shape for the chest, and another box shape for the pelvis. Ultimately, the best way to draw the body is however you feel most comfortable, right? So some people like using boxes, some people like using just circles. Up to you. How I prefer it. When drawing a body, I like to use this shape. So this line up here kind of acts as your, it's like a shelf right above your chest. From this point, your neck comes out, your traps kind of come down, and you can map out where your chest and your ribs are going to go by drawing just a line straight down the middle. This line is always going to be here. This line doesn't really shift all that much because your chest is one solid piece. From there, you have this opening in the rib cage. You may not understand why you'd even take the time to draw this bit. This right here helps you figure out where the abs are going to come from. It can help you figure out in proportion how your arms are going to come down. So usually you can measure out your arm length by going, does it hit right here? So your bicep is about as long as your chest and it's right at this point right here. Now you can move this around, do however you want, but for the most bodies, this is where it's going to end. From this point, your breast muscles are going to come down from your shoulders, just like two lines right here. They're going to connect across. This is pretty basic shapes. We want to keep it pretty basic. We're not trying to do anything extreme right now. I'd like to come out with the shoulders, figure out how big those are going to be. Usually, this point right here is going to be about 3 heads long, or 3 heads in width. So, imagine we have our head here. From shoulder to shoulder, we're adding just 2 extra heads. This can just help with understanding. Maybe your drawing looks a little off, you're not sure why. These are just helpful tools. We can start with the ribs, or sorry, not the ribs, the abs. The abs, you can basically form down into an elongated shape like this. Usually you want about 6 sections. So just drawing this shape is going to help you the most with basic ab form. And that fits right in that little pocket we made earlier. We can just drop the sides of the body right down here, just 2 lines. Keeping it pretty simple. That connect to the ends of the abs here. We can just add the waist. It's not too big of a hassle. The waist, like I said before, just a box like this. Now right now we're drawing a male body. So with the males, it's kind of like a downward triangle shape like this, with chest up top, slowly getting thinner towards the bottom. You know, different bodies have different shapes. This is what we're just going to be keeping on average. Your hips are going to be smaller than the top of your chest. Just like that. Your legs can come out of these little pockets here. Depending on how big your character is, weight-wise, whatever, your legs are usually going to come out leaving this crotch area open. But if it's a fatter character, they may kind of join together here because of the extra weight on the legs. But right now we'll just keep it pretty average build. Just use 2 pretty basic basic cylinders for that. Your arms, we'll just do the biceps. Come from this pocket where the shoulder meets the breast here, we just drop it down. Again, just simple shapes, cylinders. Don't want to do anything too complicated. So that's kind of, in basic shapes, forming the human body for the chest. I'd like to show you some references from some artists that I find pretty helpful. These are who I would suggest to look up for your own anatomy study. If you're into comic book art, anime art, just trying to do for realism, I'll give you some helpful tips here. So this artist is named Dan Mora. He does a very good job of taking the human form and placing it into a way that we can notice it, but is so stylized that it has its own appeal. Like you see a Dan Mora drawing, you know that's Dan Mora, he drew that. For a lot of people, seems really difficult and daunting, like how would I even, there's so many styles out there, how can I separate myself from it? All art styles is taking the regular human form and simplifying it in a certain way. Everything still basically stays the same. So for Superman here, you can see his forms are still pretty much what we talked about. He has the line across his chest here, that shelf where everything lays upon, his neck coming out from that shelf, the traps coming down and connecting, and then the circle, or circular shape, coming from this bit. Shoulders, I'm not sure what this shape is called, just kind of like a sharp oval. And as the body turns and distorts, your ribs are going to hide behind the muscles in your abs. So for right now, he's kind of facing towards this side. These abs are very prominent, while these ones are kind of hiding more in the back. That's something you always want to keep in mind, is that we're trying to replicate 3D space. So when you're thinking of your shapes head on, we're going, okay, everything is pretty prominent here. I can see both of the abs, both of the sides of the rib cage. But when I turn them to face this direction, the chest muscles are going to kind of shrink. So this side of the chest is not going to be as big as this one. This will be a lot more pronounced, a lot bigger, and this side will kind of pop out because of the angle that it's sitting at. You can see it here. This side of the chest is slightly bigger, and this side is kind of popping off the chest here. Popping off the rest of the body. The obliques, which is this bit here, are a part that can add a lot of detail, but we don't really notice it all that much. Sometimes when we're drawing the chest, we're like, oh, well, this feels like it's missing something. A lot of times it can be these oblique muscles that we never think about. You can see here, he simplifies them a lot. Basically just a line. And that's perfectly okay. The oblique muscles kind of start around this area. So it's one big band that kind of follows along the curvature here, connecting to your abs. So I like to go from these points in the abs, right when a single piece ends, the next one starts. That's kind of where that muscle is going to extend to. Happens going kind of up along each one of these. Into this pocket of the armpit. When we're drawing these characters, not every muscle is going to be pronounced, so it can be a lot easier just to do what Dan Mora did. Just keep them simple lines, ultimately nothing too crazy. This is personally my favorite artist. I check out his work all the time. His Instagram has a lot of helpful references on it. Another artist that is a bit more realistic than this one is named Jim Lee, and a guy with a similar art style is named David Finch. So from this point, not every muscle in the body needs to be noticeable. So I like to work from the top down. That's how we'll do it here. In the neck, if you look at a lot of old statues, you can see that they have kind of a protrusion right here. That's shaded a bit in darkness. The neck, you can pretty easily simplify the muscles here. It's just a V. And then you just add some shadow to the end of that V. The lines on the neck coming down kind of stop a little bit into the shoulders here, or into the traps, and come out. Can add these little indentations for shadow. From here, the traps curve, so they're going to curve off into this area where the chest and shoulders meet, right there. On your own body, the best reference you can use is your own body. Like, we look at it every day. If you feel right under your neck here, right where you're under your neck, you can feel this kind of U shape right here. Basically, there are two bones coming right to this point. And I like to show that detail by just doing little in a U shape like that. From that, kind of come out to the shoulder, because that bone follows along our chest here, into the shoulder. And our shoulders are like three big muscles that kind of come down, hitting the side of our arm here. So we have one band coming down like that. If you look at Toriyama's work, he likes to show these muscles very defined. And that's a great style to have. For me, I like to kind of lighten them up a bit, show that they're implied to be there, while not having a hard form. Something like that. We can start with our chest. So, in just a flat state, no tension being put on it, it's just kind of a curve down like that. When tension is put on it, the muscles in our chest kind of start coming out like this. So if we were to draw a character reaching up, have this table, when your character moves, is going to shift as well. So if our character is reaching up, that table is going to slant to the side like that. And muscles are like balloons, like big water balloons. The bicep is the best example for this. So when your bicep is elongated, just sitting and resting, it's like this big water balloon underneath it is being pulled like this. And when you contract your bicep, that water balloon contracts as well and becomes just like a big ball in your arm. Kind of represent it. This. This applies to pretty much all muscles, including your chest. So, when your chest is pulled, like we have them reaching up to the sky, it's going to make that muscle smaller, kind of. And then the muscle that is not as contracted is kind of going to stay about the same. Add maybe a little bit more drop to it. Well, this one is being pulled upward. Right now, for what we're working on, it's just going to be like this. So from here, just keeping normal shapes because we're not focusing on the arms too much. Just coming down from your chest, kind of curving in to that bit in your elbow, kind of. For the back of your bicep, your tricep, it's going to be pretty small. The tricep is a very big muscle in the body when it's grown. Very noticeable. It's kind of like this shape for the arm. You have your bicep, your tricep back here, and then smaller muscles coming down. Again, remembering the water balloon, when it's not contracted, it's just coming down like this. A couple of smaller muscles in there. Just do that. The other side. You can just kind of define this middle part of the chest with like a triangle in the center. Sorry, triangle in the center. And then again, implying the line in the middle. So you don't have to make it just one hard line. The implication will be enough. Kind of do the same thing at the bottom of the chest. This bit here for the abs, you can start by defining this little shape here that encapsulates them. So just something like that. And going onto this muscle, kind of curving up around where your rib cage would be. It can help to start with the belly button. Usually I put it on about the second set of abs, which can pretty easily just be drawn like this, kind of just a diamond shape with a little bit of edges on it, showing that it's folding skin. Put that right there. From there, adding a couple of those implying lines. We can the same thing coming out. And there's a bit of a dip here, starting into the next set of abs. This is just a valley that we're trying to show by letting each one kind of bulge out a bit. Just like that. And the final set of abs here follows all the way down to the crotch area. We won't be working on any stuff down here. I don't think the mods would appreciate it. So we'll just keep going with the side. So for the sides, depending on how much weight you have, your fat can kind of store up on your hips here. So as it drops down, you might curve a little bit to show that your body still has fat on it. If you're like 0% body fat, like on your whole body here, might just be a straight line down. That connects kind of right down here to the abs. Kind of defining the butt a little bit. This is straight on, so it's not going to be too much. Just going to add a slight curve to this area here. And coming back up here, I forgot to define the obliques again. We can just do that simple shape, just a line. Maybe like 3 lines is fine. Depends on how much detail you want to add. Just defining them like that. Same thing on the other side. From here, your muscles kind of band on your leg. So I usually start it somewhere up here. They come down like this one line around the knee. The knee, like that. For this, we're not going to be doing too much detail. Just remember there's meat on the leg, so keep it kind of curvy and loose. Just kind of connecting to that band. For this side of the leg, it comes out because of the muscle that's there, and comes back into where the knee is. So there's a very big muscle right up here on the leg. My memory on all the names for this anatomy is very bad, so I'm not going to remember the names of a lot of this stuff. This muscle kind of follows along that band, acting like that. This shape can be fairly simplified by just doing the implication again, that there is a big bulging muscle right here on your leg. And we can just add a couple of tiny lines around this knee to show some detail. knees are kind of just like a circle and a triangle for the knee shape. That we're just simplifying it. And from this little knee shape, you can just kind of define the outline. To give us our knee. And in this little bit, your ass drops a little bit below. So you can just do something like that. Yeah. I would just like to quickly go over poses. I think that could help a bit. So if this is like the basis for everything. So when it comes to poses, the best way to go about understanding it is see a pose on Pinterest, whatever you want to look it up on. Pinterest is what I use the most. Instead of trying to block out every feature, it can help just to understand how it's moving. So you can see this shape. It's just like a big C. That's where the most of the weight is going. What a lot of people have told me, from what I've learned, is to help get a better understanding of form and how it works, find a picture, just like glance at it once, or and just try to draw that picture in under a minute. So you can start just quickly. You don't even want to think about what you're doing all that much. Just kind of scribble in what you're seeing. You can trace it if you need to. Tracing is a tool. Most things in art, as long as you use them correctly, can be helpful. Tracing is one of those things. A lot of people will look at you and be like, "Oh, tracing horrible, boo." Which, if you're just gonna copy something straight shot for shot, yeah, not good. Don't do that. But to use it as a tool to help you better understand form, that's a good thing. That's what we can use tracing for. So you can see by just quickly going over that person, you can have a better understanding of how each of those forms work. And this can help you better understand shapes used in the body. Because your brain will automatically think, how can I simplify this to draw it quicker? That's why we have that timer set up. From there, you can start doing your own poses. Like, I want a guy just kind of sitting there, hitting the ground like a superhero pose or something. Just a very quick took me a couple seconds, and I have kind of a form that I can use here. So from this point, it's just blocking out where I think certain things go, and I may be moving a bit quickly here. Sorry about that. And when you're doing line works like this, you don't need to directly follow the line work you've already made. It's just a suggestion. A lot of people can get trapped in I drew my stick figure like this, and now I have to follow exactly along it. If you see something that doesn't look right, you can change it. It's no problem. You don't need to exactly follow the stick figure you've made. Now that you understand, hopefully understand how the chest works, you can start going into taking figures and breaking them down into bare bones. What are they? So back to this random woman I found. Just look at her shapes. You can kind of, if it helps, squint your eyes so that the picture's kind of blurred, and that can help you see just the shapes alone. That might help better. So you can see the circle for the chest here, going into this. Most of it is just spheres and circles. You can form that line here to help you better understand. A lot of people like to use a box for the hips. This can help you understand planes better. And for homework, if you guys want to, I would suggest just finding a bunch of pictures online, looking at them, and then breaking them down into shapes. You can find pictures like this. If you just look up pose reference online, you You can find a ton of them. You can see you kind of got, just by basic shapes alone, an understanding of the body. This looks kind of vaguely like a person. So just kind of do that a whole bunch of times. You can pose for yourself. You can find poses online, take them, and break them down. So that's your homework. If you're really wanting to push yourself, watch movies or anime, whatever. If you see something cool on the screen that you like, pause the frame and then break it down. Like what I was showing earlier, where you're quickly sketching out whatever pose they're doing. Do that for the pose, especially if it's an action pose, and that can help you understand posing better. Might make it easier. I think that's time for today. I don't know how helpful that was. I hope you guys learned something. You guys want to rate the class, tell me what I can do better, because I'm still learning. Yeah, I think it's time to end it. We got to get Bevy out of here.